After each profound exchange with my husband, he would collapse into slumber, resembling a lifeless swine. I had long believed that he harbored no affection for me until I was privy to his innermost thoughts. Why does it seem like my wife is not in high spirits tonight? Have I failed to satisfy her? Oh dear, could it be that my wife is disappointed in my abilities? Is there still hope if I rise and try again? 1. Bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, I surveyed the man before me, his eyes tightly shut and his breath steady, momentarily questioning my own auditory faculties. Yet, the murmurs in my ears persisted. My wife has been gazing at me intently. How can I possibly sleep? My heart races uncontrollably to, oh, my sweet and soft wife, how I long to hold her and whisper sweet nothings throughout the night. Alas, my wife favors aloof. Men those who exude an air of frivolity are seldom desired. I must not let her down for love. I can transform myself. I was left speechless. I could hardly believe that I had truly heard Gusen's thoughts. The contrast with his usual demeanor was staggering. Could this truly be him? He is typically so distant and taciturn. The emergence of such sentiments from his lips was akin to a revelation, a striking awakening. Still uncertain, I tentatively spoke. Gutsen? Go to sleep, we have work tomorrow, he mumbled, his eyes remaining shut as he turned away, presenting me with the sight of his broad shoulders and slim waist, returning to his slumber. Die in the past, I would have perceived him as utterly indifferent now. However, I discerned an unexpected restraint within his seemingly cold tone. As he lay with his back to me, his heart poured forth fervently. My wife's voice is so delightful, so sweet and tender. Each time I hear her, I cannot help but yearn to bombard her with affectionate words, whispering sweet nothings into her ear repeatedly. Yet, I must resist. Such an act would be akin to self-sabotage, for a frivolous man is on my wife's blacklist for suitors. My guiding principle in life: steer clear of the greasy, and may my wife love me forever, making me a blissful man. How could I have been unaware of having established my own blacklist for suitors? From whence did he derive this misconception? The following day, at breakfast, Gutsen, as per his usual routine, swiftly finished his meal and settled onto the sofa, perusing the financial morning report. His long legs were casually crossed, and the impeccably tailored suit he wore exuded an air of both coolness and elegance. Occasionally, he would lift his gaze only to let it fall again, glancing at his watch from time to time. He was waiting for me. Gutsen and I entered into matrimony following a night of drunken revelry. He married me out of a sense of responsibility, while I wed him because I genuinely adored him. Thus, after our marriage, I proposed a pact to enhance our relationship. He must wait for me to tie his tie each day before he left for work, so that we could embody the essence of a loving couple. Gutsen acquiesced, yet every morning, he would finish his breakfast with remarkable speed, sitting on the sofa, glancing at his watch and then at me, as if urging me to hurry. Until today, I finally discerned the truth of his inner thoughts. My heavens. My wife looks utterly adorable, still groggy from sleep as she eats breakfast. Her cuteness reaches new heights daily. Finishing breakfast early and secretly watching my wife eat brings me immense joy. She typically takes 20 minutes to finish, and in 10 minutes, she'll come over to tie my tie. Will today perhaps include a parting morning kiss? How delightful. I am so excited. He checked his watch repeatedly. 8 minutes left. 5 minutes left. My fried dough stick fell into the soy milk, and my sleepy mind became completely alert. It turns out Gutsen had been merely playing the financial morning report without actually reading a word. His frequent glances at the time were not out of impatience for my slow eating, but rather a countdown for me to tie his tie and share a moment of intimacy with him. I had always believed I was the one desperately trying to connect with him each morning, mustering considerable courage to approach him. However, upon hearing his true feelings, a surge of unnamed frustration ignited within me. Who taught him to treat his wife this way? Our exchanges throughout the day were scarce, and while I didn't want to seem overly needy, his aloof demeanor was quite a challenge. If only he could articulate his feelings instead of bottling them up. I had nearly contemplated dragging him to the Civil Affairs Bureau for a divorce on several occasions due to the lack of emotional value in our marriage. After finishing breakfast and casually tidying up, I passed through the living room where Gutsen remained seated on the sofa, seemingly calm and composed, with his long legs crossed. Yet, I could sense his inner anticipation for my approach. I paused for a moment, but then continued towards the entrance, where Gutsen visibly grew anxious, though he quickly suppressed it. My wife forgot to tie my tie today. How could she forget such an important matter? I must have her tie my tie. Should I remind her? Would that make me seem clingy? Is it useless if I can't tie my own tie? but I simply cannot do without her help. I can already imagine how sorrowful and helpless I would feel today without the tie she tied for me. Ultimately, after wrestling with his inner turmoil for a while, Gootson called out to me just as I was about to exit. I paused, turning to face him. Is there something you need? I'm in a hurry to get to work. Did you forget something? Did I? I can't recall. I feigned ignorance with a smile. For a fleeting moment, Gootson's calm demeanor cracked as he retrieved a tie from the side and handed it to me. Did you forget the promise you made? Oh, that. I pondered for a moment before saying, let us consider it null and void. Having you fulfill that obligation daily is rather exhausting. Let us not force it anymore. You don't need to waste your time waiting for me each day. It's quite troublesome for you. I can manage on my own. Gootson pressed his lips together, his deep eyes fixated on me, revealing a calm, yet turbulent ocean within. It seemed that whether or not this agreement was upheld mattered little to him. If I hadn't heard his inner voice screaming in desperation, I would have thought otherwise. It's not troublesome at all, and it's certainly not forcing you. How can we change what we agreed upon? I want to accept it. But everything my wife says and does has its rationale. If she no longer wishes to tie my tie, does that mean she has lost interest in me? Then I must be more obedient. I cannot be unreasonable, or she will come to dislike me. The first rule of being a good husband is to listen to his wife. If she says it's null and void, I shouldn't resist. Do as you wish. Gootson replied curtly, yet I sensed a reluctant undertone in his terse words. I nodded, bid him farewell, and turned to leave. My wife just walked away, and today I didn't even get a morning kiss. Today, I want to find happiness. If only my wife would turn around. She'd see how close I am to breaking down. Behind me, Gootson seemed to be sulking. I quickened my pace, refusing to look back. I must not soften. He must experience the feelings I had endured previously. That evening, Gootson and I shared the same bed. He sat on one side, engrossed in his work on the laptop, while I quietly read a book on the other side. We were both busy, creating an illusion of tranquil domesticity. Yet, I couldn't focus on a single word. Gootson's voice incessantly echoed in my ears, utterly impossible to ignore. It's that time of night again. The moment I look forward to most, snuggling with my lovely wife. I'm all set, ready to launch. The moment my wife gives the command, I'll lie down and let her have her way with me. I'll sneak a glance to see where she is at, and after one more chapter, it should be time for bed. Before long, he began to sing. Wife, wife, I love you. May the Buddha bless you. I hope you look at me soon so we can sleep together. My lips twitched, and I abruptly closed my book, turning to face him. Gootson's eyes subtly flickered toward me. His acting is quite commendable. He waits eagerly each day for me to initiate affection. I had previously thought he was merely succumbing to my advances, feeling helpless beneath me. Yet it turned out he was genuinely anticipating it. However, he never took the initiative. Very well. I took a deep breath and smiled. Time for bed. Meeting his expectant gaze, I then turned my attention back to his computer. You haven't finished your work, have you? Focus on your tasks, don't stay up too late. Good night. With that, I lay down, tucked myself in, and closed my eyes in one fluid motion. Gootson, realizing the situation only after a while, fell silent for a long moment before finally responding, good night. With my eyes closed, just as I had anticipated, I heard his inner thoughts resonating. Wife, how can you sleep without hugging me? First, you didn't help me tie my tie, then I didn't receive a morning kiss, and now there's no evening intimacy. Have you truly grown weary of me? What should I do if my wife no longer loves me? I can't live without her. I'm about to cry. At the right moment, I opened my eyes and caught a glimpse of Gootson's slightly reddened eyes. He was caught off guard, his expression frozen. What's wrong? I planned to give him a chance to be honest. Truth be told, I wasn't accustomed to nights without deep conversation with him. Usually, under my initiative. We never missed a night of connection unless circumstances demanded otherwise. Gootson gazed at me with red-rimmed eyes, a clear struggle flickering in the depths. I looked at him with encouragement and anticipation, waiting for him to speak, hoping for his initiative just this once. Gootson swallowed hard, lifted his hand to close the laptop, and lowered his gaze, his eyes burning intensely as they met mine. The air felt stifling, and the once tranquil space began to hum with an undercurrent of restlessness. Despite having gazed upon that strikingly handsome face for almost a year, each encounter still left me blushing and my heart racing. I admit, I am a devoted admirer of Gootson's looks. Shyly, I averted my eyes slightly, waiting for his next move. At long last, with my heart full of anticipation, he set the laptop aside. Suddenly feeling a bit nervous, I raised my gaze, my eyes sparkling, only to see him lift his hand to shield his eyes. "It's nothing, just a bug flew into my eye," he said. I can't let my wife know I want to cry. The aloof male god turning into a weeping mess would lose all charm. What a genius I am, concocting such an excuse about a bug in my eye. My wife will surely come over to blow my eye later. We might even cuddle. I found myself at a loss for words at his antics. My expectations seemed almost laughable. This boy, dreaming of enticing me to make the first move even at this stage. No way. I was resolute, suppressing my desires and turning my back completely. "You can rub it yourself. I'm tired and sleepy." The next day, Gutsen appeared noticeably haggard, sporting dark circles under his eyes. He hadn't slept a wink, tormented by inner turmoil throughout the night. What could I do? I listened to him lament for hours. Even though his incessant complaints gave me a headache, I bore it silently. After all, he is my husband. Who else should I indulge if not him? Gutsen hastily finished his breakfast and plopped down on the sofa, furiously typing on his phone with a furrowed brow. I initially thought there was an urgent matter at his company. However, I soon overheard. "Strategist, I need urgent assistance. I successfully crafted the image of an aloof male god as you advised, and my wife indeed loves me dearly. But recently, she has grown indifferent towards me. Last night, do you know what happened? My wife, astonishingly, refused to cuddle with me. She has grown weary of me. She no longer loves me. Please save me, strategist." What should I do? Uncover my unique charm? Visit the main showcase and order link number 1, the male charm hidden in details? Just follow the book as guidance? Alright. I'll study it today and test the results. Thank you. I'll definitely shower you with 100 gifts in your live stream tonight. Alright. I see now. It turns out he is learning everything online. Gutsen, you esteemed figure in the business world, a top-notch elite who navigates the commercial realm with ease, yet clumsily seeks relationship advice from online gurus on how to woo his wife. Fine, it's commendable to be eager to learn, but to learn so poorly. ISNT that reckless? After receiving advice from the strategist, Gutsen cheerfully made a trip to the restroom. He hadn't taken his phone. I quietly crept over, genuinely curious about which dog-headed strategist could so effortlessly mislead such a sharp and competent businessman as Gun. The next moment, I was stymied by the phone's lock screen password and had to return it to its original place. Once Gutsen emerged from the restroom, I was undeterred. "Gutsen, can I borrow your phone for a moment?" Though slightly perplexed, Gutsen handed me his phone without hesitation. I swiped the screen and asked, "What is the password?" At that moment, he seemed to finally grasp the situation, internally panicking. What does my wife want with my phone? Is she checking up on me? I knew she still cares about me. Could it be that her coldness stems from suspicion? Heavens, I must be at fault for making my wife feel insecure. Darling, feel free to check. I have nothing to hide. You needn't worry. I trust you completely. After all, I listened to you cry out your love for me all night. To prevent him from spiraling into further wild imaginings, I quickly interjected the unfinished sentence. "I can't remember where I left my phone. Use yours to call mine." Only then did Gutsen realize he had overthought it. So it wasn't because my wife suspected me that she was cold. Rather, she has genuinely grown bored of me? How disheartening. It's my fault for failing to keep things fresh for her. But it's all right. I have the strategist's secret to study diligently, and I'm sure I can win back my wife's heart. Just wait. I'm going to find out who this remarkable strategist is, and I'll seek their counsel as well. I lowered my gaze at the phone, reminding him. Password? Not receiving a response. I only heard him mentally erupting into a new storm of frantic thoughts. Oh heavens, do you wish for my demise? My password is 5201314. Why on earth did I let my love-stricken brain dictate such a cheesy password? If I simply blur it out, my wife will undoubtedly see through my corny romantic persona and withdraw her affection. If I remain silent, she'll think I'm hiding something from her, which would only further chill her heart. No matter what choice I make, it appears there's only one outcome. My status in my wife's eyes will plummet. What to do? What to do? What to do? What can be done? Considering how melodious your password is, I might as well lend you a hand. Sigh. I truly am a soft-hearted deity. I slightly lifted my gaze to him, feigning ignorance of the panic in his eyes, then directly illuminated the screen and faced it towards him. Facial recognition unlock works too. After successfully unlocking the phone, I turned slightly away, pretending to dial a number. In reality, I swiftly muted the volume and opened the Douyin page, landing on the private chat section. My gaze landed on the last message from a user who had thanked the strategist. Aspars. My smile froze. Quickly, I clicked on that user's profile, noting that most of their posts revolved around esports games. The name was identical, the type was the same, and the city they were in matched as well. This was undeniably my younger brother, Tang Yen, an Douyin account. My parents had always wanted him to return home and join me in running the family business, vehemently opposing his desire to become an esports streamer. I was the only one in the family supporting him. He refused to return to the family company, and my parents cut off most of his financial support. Occasionally, he would ask me to buy him some traffic for his account, so this account was known only to me. I had never disclosed this matter to Gutsen, internally digesting the reality before me. I feigned calmness as I dialed my own number to create an illusion. Gutsen patiently awaited my response, and I observed him, feigning composure. Words failed me. I could only sigh. It was one thing to seek relationship advice online. It was another to consult someone so unrelated as an esports player. To top it off, it was my brother. Gutsen, could you possibly be any more outrageous? What other surprises do I remain unaware of? And my brother, Tang Yen, and asking me to believe he could be a relationship guru was akin to asking me to perform a public act of folly. A mere homebuddy. And look at how my husband has been transformed into this bashful figure. After watching Gutsen leave for work, I promptly dialed Tang Yen an S number. Tang Yen, and when did you switch careers?
What? Cease.
What do you mean? His tone conveyed utter confusion. I heard you've recently taken up the role of a relationship advisor? I'm curious because you told me you were an esports streamer. Can you explain this? So you meant this. It's all for the sake of the show. Nowadays, people seek novelty. A streamer cannot simply tread the same path indefinitely. To succeed, one must introduce fresh elements. If I were to solely play games, my fans would soon tire of it. Which is why I periodically host unique emotional-themed live streams to create a contrast. Believe it or not, the effect has been quite good. My fans enjoy it, treating it as entertainment beyond gaming. By the way, sis, weren't you the one who said you don't use Douyin? Why are you suddenly so concerned about this? I smiled coldly. I have a friend who recently mentioned he found an emotional consultant online. A dog head emotional teacher to discuss relationship issues. I inadvertently discovered that you are that emotional master.
Huh?
Who is it? I hesitated, recalling Gutsen's account, feeling somewhat embarrassed to speak. It's that one. Wife is the sweetest in the world, so it's Sweet General. I didn't expect he was your friend. Tang Yenin suddenly chuckled on the line, cheerfully saying, speaking of which, he is the major client you helped me attract through your support. He is also my only client in the emotional consulting realm. He saw my live stream and thought I had quite a knack for teaching guys how to pursue girls. You wouldn't believe it. Every time he consults me, he showers my live stream with 100 huazi, allowing me to achieve financial independence without relying on my parents for a while. By the way, I owe you thanks. Sis, if it weren't for your strong support of my dreams and purchasing traffic for me, Sweet General wouldn't have stumbled into my live stream. And I wouldn't have met him. So, in the end, did I inadvertently facilitate their online romance?
What a predicament.
Tang Yenin, how dare you, a lifelong introvert, offer him advice? Don't say it like that. Although my romantic experience is limited? More like non-existent. He paused for a moment. All right, I may lack personal experience, but my friends have plenty. Even if I haven't eaten pork, I've seen pigs run. Plus, I am very diligent in my studies. To honor Sweet General's 100 huazi, I even wrote and published a relationship guide to showcase my expertise. Sis, do you know how hard I work, how dedicated I am? At this point, I felt a bit lost, managing to squeeze out 2 words. How could I not know? Isn't that book of yours displayed prominently on your homepage? What's it called again? The Hidden Charisma of Men in the Details? Exactly. Have you read it? Is it any good? A lot of the content was inspired by our conversations. I fell silent, as some vague recollection surfaced. Previously, Tang Yenin had unexpectedly asked me what qualities women generally find appealing in men, pondering what makes a man attractive. At the time, I was thrilled to think that this introverted boy was finally showing interest in impressing a girl he liked. Thus, I shared with him my insights into attractive traits without reservation. Who would have thought he would incorporate my advice into his book? Did he use my insights to woo my husband? I have never felt so at a loss in my life. Well, whether it works or not, we'll see the results tonight. Tang Yenin. During work hours, I rarely received a call from Gutsen, but today, He reached out with his usual succinctness. A friend has opened a new restaurant. I'll pick you up after work and we'll go try it. I paused for quite a while before responding, agreeing quietly. At that moment, I was staring at the electronic version of the hidden charisma of men in the details that my brother had sent me. How to describe its content? It was quite hard to evaluate, filled with cliches. But then I thought, if Gootson were to execute the strategies in the book, I wouldn't say it outright, but I would find it appealing. As I was envisioning Gootson trying to appear reserved while simultaneously preening like a peacock before me, my phone rang again. Upon answering, I learned that due to the schedule of the collaborating company's president, the business dinner originally set for the day after tomorrow might need to be moved up to tonight. They asked for my opinion on whether to proceed with the discussion tonight or find another suitable time. This collaboration was crucial, affecting the overall future development of the company. I could only agree to the earlier dinner arrangement. After hanging up, I redialed Gootson's number. Gootson, I'm sorry, something came up tonight, and I can't join you for dinner. You don't need to pick me up. There was a moment of silence on the line before Gootson's clear and pleasant voice came through. What time will it end? I can't say for sure, but if all goes well, around 9. All right, I'll come to get you then. Instinctively, I replied, no need. I can drive myself. Gootson insisted. Can you drive after drinking? As the company's president, he was naturally aware that one rarely discusses business over dinner without indulging in alcohol. But I have a driver. I typically have a designated driver for events, so I wouldn't have to rely on him. Gootson paused for a moment before saying, I also have some work that will keep me busy until 9. I'll swing by to pick you up on my way. This was the first time I noticed Gootson's insistence. He had previously offered to pick me up, but I always thought he was busy with his own work gatherings. And since I had a driver, I preferred not to trouble him, so I would decline. This was the first time he persisted even after I had refused. Something felt off. Suddenly, a thought struck me, and I couldn't help but smile. All right then, I'll wait for you. The progress was swift. After a successful collaboration discussion, the dinner had concluded, and it was still before 9. In order to secure the deal, I had indulged a bit too much tonight. After sending off the partners, the effects of alcohol nearly made me stumble. Thankfully, a slender yet strong hand steadied me. Yan Ning, are you all right? I'm fine. I managed to regain my balance, the night breeze wrapping around me, bringing a chill that cleared my head somewhat. The man before me was impeccably dressed, with a fair complexion, thin-framed glasses perched on his high nose, exuding elegance and gentleness. Shin Sinian, my childhood friend. He had significant connections with the owner of the collaborating company, and thanks to his willingness to act as a mediator, the negotiations had gone smoothly. He was also the son of my godfather. To think, if I hadn't met Gootson, my future husband could have been Shin Sinian. My parents had always been quite fond of Shin Sinian, believing that since our families were well acquainted, a familial union would be ideal. Just as I was about to discuss this with the Shun family, I unexpectedly found myself attracted to Gootson, a man with equally exceptional qualities and a superior lineage. My parents racked their brains, ultimately unable to come up with a reason to oppose my choice, leading to the unfortunate termination of their union plans. The headlights of a car caught my attention, bringing me back to reality. A moment later, a Rolls-Royce pulled up beside us. It was Gootson's vehicle. As the car approached, I could already hear his ongoing thoughts. No matter how careful I am, I can't guard against my childhood friend. One careless moment, and I've allowed Shin Sinian to take advantage of the situation and be alone with my wife. He's made significant progress while my wife is still giving me the cold shoulder. This situation is clearly in his favor. But I blame myself. I am the one lacking charm, resulting in my wife's waning affection for me. My wife and my childhood friend are rekindling their old flame. I'm in trouble. I sighed inwardly. What romantic history do Shin Sinian and I share? We never even tried to start anything before it was snuffed out in the cradle. Now it's purely a sibling bond. I exhaled, realizing that I couldn't entirely blame him for the misunderstanding. After all, it was my parents' doing. In the initial throes of our reckless night, Gootson came to my home to propose. Given that his family background was considerably superior to mine, my parents, in an effort to ensure he valued me more, fervently extolled my virtues and advantages. Among these was the fact that I was quite sought after. They told Gootson that suitors lined up for miles to win my affection, with Shin Siyuan being one such admirer. They implied that if he did not treat me well, I could easily find another excellent man like Shin Siyuan. I stood by, momentarily stunned by their words.
Gootson,
Initially surprised, soon regained his aloof demeanor, appearing indifferent to my past, and earnestly assured my parents of his intentions to treat me well. Now, upon hearing his inner thoughts, I realized he had always taken my parents' words to heart and cared deeply about their opinions. As Gutsen alighted from the car, clad in a tailored black haute couture suit, he exuded a tall and upright presence, with a strikingly handsome and cool visage, embodying an air of regal composure. He approached me steadily, his exterior calm while internally he repeated to himself, "Dignity, dignity, must not act impulsively, must maintain composure. My wife prefers a man of emotional stability. I cannot be volatile. A competent husband must learn to process his emotions internally." Shin Siyun greeted him with a warm smile, chuckling lightly before turning to me and saying, "Yen Ning, the busy Mr. Gu has taken time out of his schedule to personally pick you up. You too must be trying to flaunt your affection to make this single man envious." Shun Siyuan's teasing, though harmless, took on a different connotation in Gutsen's ears. Is Shun Siyuan trying to emphasize his single status before my wife, hoping she'll turn to him? Gutsen mused. What is he thinking? My wife merely dined with him once. It signifies nothing. Does he believe he has another chance? Shun Siyuan, you have no idea how many charming tactics I have learned to woo my wife tonight. I will undoubtedly win her over and reignite her affection for me. With me around, my wife will have no energy to seek out other men. Shin Siyuan, you are barking up the wrong tree.
Gyeotsen replied to Shen Shiyuan.
May you find a family soon so you no longer need to envy others. His tone, typically polite and distant, today carried an undercurrent of tension. It was evident Shin Siyuan sensed this shift, yet remained perplexed by Gutsen's sudden hostility. Before he could probe further, his driver arrived. They exchanged farewells, and Gutsen promptly ushered me into the car. No sooner had I settled in than he leaned in without a word. My body stiffened, and the man's face loomed large in my vision, my pupils trembling slightly. In the end, his nearly perfect visage drew so close that our skin touched briefly. His warm breath brushing against my earlobe. Sit tight, he commanded in a deep, melodious voice that pierced through my eardrums. Within the confines of the cramped vehicle, only the sound of my racing heart remained. The next moment, a click broke the silence as Gutsen fastened my seatbelt. When I regained my senses, he had returned to his driving seat. The sun was setting in the west, and this was the first time he had ever buckled me in. However, a moment's reflection made his intentions clear. Stealing a sidelong glance at him, I noted his chiseled profile, serene yet devoid of any emotional fluctuation. Yet, his inner thoughts betrayed him. Charming technique number 1, an inadvertent touch to stir my wife's heartbeat. Just now, my face brushed against her soft lips. How adeptly I gauged distance. And that sit tight of mine, perfectly placed, with a deep, resonant tone that is undeniably magnetic. It appears the strategies I gleaned from books have indeed borne fruit, as my wife's expression has softened considerably. Indeed, as I had surmised, his eagerness to pick me up tonight was not without ulterior motives. But was fastening my seatbelt absolutely necessary today? With a newfound eagerness to apply the knowledge I had acquired, I could only think that such a maneuver, one that involved my face grazing against his, would have warranted a call to the authorities had anyone less appealing attempted it. The flirtatious tactics from the books were not universally effective, but when wielded by Gutsen on me, I could begrudgingly admit they had merit. Gutsen's thoughts continued to race. It seems I must unveil my grand plan tonight. Initially, I thought to proceed gradually, uncertain if my wife would appreciate more overt gestures. But with a rival present, I cannot afford to hesitate. What grand plan was he concocting? I perked up my ears only to hear him sigh. Alas, my wife remains uncommunicative with me. She is so cold. Is it true that women can simply declare their lack of love? I cannot endure this. I desire my wife's fervent affection. Tonight, I vow to melt the ice around her heart and rekindle her passion for me. As the car sped towards home, I remained silent, gazing out the window. It was not that I did not wish to speak, but rather that I had to take deep breaths to stifle the laughter bubbling within me. It was impossible to suppress my anticipation at the thought of him returning home, feigning an air of restraint while preparing to dazzle me. Any remnants of intoxication had evaporated. I was ready to engage in an all-night battle. Upon arriving home, Gutsen kindly offered to brew me a hangover remedy. He removed his suit jacket and rolled up his shirt sleeves, revealing his strong forearms, and walked directly into the kitchen. He emerged soaked, his white shirt clinging to his skin, rendering it nearly transparent. His chest muscles and 8-pack abs were unmistakably visible. I took the remedy he handed me, puzzled, and inquired, "What happened here?" "The kitchen faucet burst, splashing water everywhere," he replied. My wife surely does not suspect that I intentionally damaged the faucet to create this wet and tantalizing scene. Does my wife find this enticing? Yes. I can see it in her gaze. She is captivated by me. I must draw closer, so she can see me better. And indeed, he drew nearer, loosening his tie and unbuttoning the top two buttons of his shirt, tilting his head slightly as he casually tousled his damp hair. Water droplets traced down his face and neck, disappearing into his chest. It was undeniably alluring. I swiftly took a sip of the hangover remedy to mask the sound of my swallowing. You should hurry and take a shower. You might catch a chill. Gutsen nodded and promptly retreated to the bathroom. 10 minutes later, he emerged wearing only his underwear, revealing his impressive physique in full display. Meeting my heated gaze, he explained, I forgot to grab my clothes. After his explanation, he did not rush upstairs but instead lingered, bustling about in front of me, even sitting down to engage in a half-hour phone call. I took another sip of tea, choosing not to address the obvious. Did he think I was unaware of his intentions? But with such masculine allure on display, I was more than willing to indulge. I unabashedly admired him, causing Gutsen's ears to redden. I never realized my wife so adored my physique. Had I known, I would have revealed myself sooner. If my wife enjoys this, I shall dress like this at home every day. I must satisfy her desires. He began to praise silently, my dear wife, since you adore it so much. You must turn my card tonight. I cannot endure another night of being relegated to the cold palace. I smiled without uttering a word, proceeding to freshen up myself. The two of us eventually arrived at our final destination, the bed. As was my custom, I opened my bedtime reading material and delved into it, maintaining an air of calmness, as steady as an old dog. Beside me, Gutsen was already growing impatient. Why hasn't my wife pounced on me yet? Have I not laid out enough temptation? I can't hold on any longer. A thought flickered through my mind. Was he truly unable to resist it? In the next moment, a shadow loomed over me, and a weight settled upon my body, his breath enveloping me tightly. Gutsen encircled me in his arms, his dark eyes brimming with desire. I raised an eyebrow, feigning ignorance, my gaze silently inquiring what he was up to. His lips moved, parting and closing, yet he remained speechless for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, I noticed the corners of his eyes gradually reddening, a hint of helplessness coloring his gaze. What am I doing? If my wife isn't taking the initiative, it means she doesn't want it. Am I really trying to force her? I must be foolish. How can I explain this? Should I say I am merely practicing my bed techniques? This man, truly. We had arrived at the stage, yet he could not be honest just once? Was he so afraid I would uncover the truth of his romantic inclinations? What a silly boy. I couldn't help but smile, realizing that my lips almost instinctively curled up, and I quickly employed a physical suppression method to keep them in check. To my surprise, as soon as my lips moved, Gutsen leaned in and kissed me. My wife is responding. Tonight, I am fulfilled. Wait. I was pouting, not pouting in anticipation. Had he misunderstood something? A domineering aura invaded, sweetness swirling around us. My mind instantly went blank. Let us just play along with this. Better than suffocating myself. I began to reciprocate. Our lips parted, and I breathed softly, cradling Gutsen's face, gazing at him with deep affection. Man, you lit the fire. You must extinguish it yourself. With that, my hand smoothly ventured downward. Gutsen's eyes darkened, and without uttering a word, he pressed down upon me, his body responding in kind. After a night of fiery battles, I awoke the next day feeling refreshed. Gutsen did as well, though he still feigned aloofness. I observed him grab his phone, sharing his joy with Tang Yenin, praising the usefulness of the materials from Tang Yenin's side. In that moment, I directly opened Tang Yenin's live stream and angrily showered it with 100 virtual gifs. Watching the splendid carnival effects of the live stream, I couldn't help but feel that my brother might become the biggest winner. To be honest, had Tang Yenin not been my brother, I would have snatched Gutsen's phone to apply for a minor refund. I reconnected with Tang Yenin, asking him to send me screenshots of the chat records with Goose, and Tang Yenin replied, bewildered, sister, why do you want the chat records between me and President Tian? That's private information. I chuckled softly. What if President Tian is your brother-in-law? Tang Yenin was taken aback, remaining silent for a considerable time, then abruptly stated, sister, I suddenly have something to attend to. I'll hang up now. A few minutes later, my phone vibrated continuously, and he sent the chat record screenshots to me. I selected the most representative one and saved it. That evening, before sharing the bed with Gutsen, I opened the image and placed my phone before him. Care to explain? While playful banter is all well and good, I had had my fill. I knew some misunderstandings needed to be clarified promptly. And we should lay it all out. Goodson initially appeared composed, but upon glimpsing the contents of the chat screenshot, his face turned ashen. I looked at the screenshot and began to read it aloud, word by word. Teacher, my wife likes aloof male gods and despises greasy men with slick tongues. Whereas I am essentially a hopeless romantic who loves sweet talk. I am terrified my wife thinks I am greasy and lewd. How should I interact with her in daily life? I like aloof male gods? You're a hopeless romantic? Care to explain how this came to be? Where did you see this chat record? Goodson still clung to a glimmer of hope, attempting to assert that the chat record was fabricated, making a last-ditch effort. I directly replied, Esports, Tang Yenin, my brother, understood? Goodson's complexion paled even further, taking on a greenish hue. Little brother-in-law? He finally recognized the reality, dropped the facade, and laid his cards on the table. Leaning closer to me, he grasped my hand, his demeanor pitiful. Wife, I am indeed a hopeless romantic. Please don't despise me. I beg you, do not come to hate me and leave me. I implore you. If you like aloof male gods, I can continue to pretend. See? I did quite well before. I sighed. Who told you that I like aloof male gods? Goodson paused, then quietly admitted. It seems it was also my little brother who mentioned it. He recalled hearing Tang Yenin at a banquet, where he declared he had fallen for me at first sight. Coincidentally overhearing a few frivolous scions expressing their interest in me and inquiring about my preferences. Goodson, standing nearby, heard him say, My sister likes those who appear aloof and godlike. You oily, frivolous men are on her list of undesirable suitors, so don't even think about it. Consequently, he believed that the kind of man I favored had to be aloof. Thus, when I approached him at that banquet, equally smitten, to strike up a conversation, he began to put on an act. I mistakenly interpreted his cold demeanor as disinterest. A pang of sadness washed over me. I thought that if I couldn't win over the handsome man, I might as well befriend him. I pulled him along for drinks, and he never made excuses to leave. We continued drinking, cup after cup, until we both became intoxicated and inadvertently ended up in bed. I had always thought Goodson had married me out of a sense of responsibility. Little did I know he had always harbored feelings for me. I must say, Tang Yenin is truly my dear brother. A good brother, indeed. First, he spread rumors. Then he engaged in misguided teaching, deliberately creating obstacles on my path to love. Now that everything had been laid bare, I realized I could no longer hear Goodson as heartfelt sentiments. I emphasized to him that I did not have a preference for aloof male gods. Goodson asked, Wife, then what type do you like? I don't have a specific type. I simply like you, Goodson, the person. Therefore, you must never hide your true self from me. No matter what, I will always cherish you. Based on my newfound understanding of him over these past days, I earnestly continued, In the future, if you have anything on your mind, just say it directly. I will listen attentively. Your mouth was made for speaking, not merely for decoration. Don't suppress yourself. Goodson replied, I understand. I will listen to my wife. However, a mouth is not only for speaking, it is also for kissing. Wife, is it time for a kiss?
Huh?
Can you think of something other than these matters? I sighed in exasperation, shaking my head with a fond smile. Honestly, I can't do anything with you. Extend your lips. This man was insatiable, always wanting more. Wife, once more. No more for now, but next time I promise. After the vigorous exertion of the previous night, I felt somewhat weak this evening. Breathless and fatigued, I was frightened enough to roll away from his embrace, only to be pulled back into his arms. In the past, I was afraid you would hate me, so I always followed your lead. Now, can you grant me a little more privilege? Moreover, it has been 99 days since our marriage. Aside from your special days, the only night we missed was the one before last. We need to make up for it tonight. You rascal, with an unending supply of energy. The end of the text. Thank you for your attentive listening. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give a thumbs up and subscribe.
Until we meet again in the next story.